Right, welcome back, guys. Cool, I thought I was going to miss that there. I had to get a few notes over. How are we all doing? Yeah. I've got the boys with me, Tom and Mark. Tom, obviously, and Mark again from last week. So much to talk about tonight, but I left my notes, so I had to rewrite them up again. So let's go again. So let's start with Bart leaving. What do you make of that, boys? Let's start with you, Tom. What do you reckon?
I think it was needed. Definitely needed. Yeah. I think if he has a good season, we can always take him back if we go up. If not, we can sell him. Perhaps get a bit more money than what we've done this season.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But
do you think that I'll come on to Mark in a minute on this one, but do you think he said his final goodbyes to Ipswich fans by the looks of it on Twitter?
I think he has, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case. But you never know. He can still come back. I don't see why not. But for now, he has. Yeah.
Definitely. What do you make of it, Mark?
I think the writing was on the wall when Holy came in, really. You're taking the number one, highly regarded number one from Gillingham, giving him the number one shirt. It's pretty obvious that Bart's probably going to be out of favour. And I do feel a bit sorry for him. I think without Bart, we probably wouldn't have lasted in the Championship so long. Apart from, last season, he'd probably admit by his own standards it wasn't his best year. But I think he's kind of the victim that he could either have left sort of earlier on, but didn't. And he stayed long enough to sort of tarnished his reputation with some of our fan base. But obviously, I think, like Tom was saying, if he was to come back, would he come in as a starter? I don't know, especially if we're coming straight back up and Holy having a good year. I think it's probably the last time we'll see Bart, sadly. So, yeah.
I very much agree. I think we've brought in Holy as a number one, and the idea of having a number two was probably have an up-and-coming goalkeeper or someone who's going to give us the opportunity to push forward and hasn't been here for 5 or 6 years. And to be honest, we should have sold Bart a long time ago, in my opinion. I think his best season was 2 or 3 years ago, and we've been clinging on to him ever since.
Yeah. Like we say, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I think it was always Bart was that asset that we had, which we never seemed to utilise. Last year other players went instead, and Bart was the one who stayed, and ultimately things went down with Hurst that did not suit him really. I don't think Malcolm Webster leaving really helped. I think he was quite important, especially through that period where he lost his father as well. But we live and we learn, as we do at Ipswich. It's happened before. It won't be the last time, I'm sure. But Norris coming in, it's a good backup, and he's going to be pushing Holy all the way. Like you said, 2 fresh faces, both got everything to prove, no reputation to back them up, which is good, really. So
yeah, definitely.
that's good heavyweight pushing.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get onto that in a second, Tom. But I just want to say, do you think that the club has maybe put itself through like some kind of detrimental kind of phase when we keep hold of players longer than we should have, Tom?
Yeah, we could have got money from Goldrick.
Yeah.
Probably could have got more money for Bart.
They're the two that pop into my mind.
Maybe even Murphy.
Yeah.
A little bit perhaps. But I think we do hold on to players perhaps a little bit too long in hindsight.
Yeah.
At the time, you never know,
No, you really don't know.
Would if McGoldrick had gone, would he also got injured for whoever he'd gone to?
Yeah.
Okay, was it Leicester? Yeah, Leicester. So would he?
The year they won the Premier League.
Yeah. So
he could have played Premier League football, but there you go. So yeah, Will Norris has come in from Wolves. Obviously made his name at Cambridge. Ironically, the team we drew 0-0 with at the weekend. He's come in. He's gone to Wolves. He's played 1 game in the Championship, 1 game in the Premier League. If I'm right, I think he kept a clean sheet against Manchester United last season. Was that the one? Maybe I know a bit more than you two. But it shows that basically, ironically, I was saying this to you two just a minute ago, that Bart, Holy and Will Norris all have the same agent. So in my mind, I think this deal was already done and dusted a long time ago. I think it's just the whole Millwall debacle with this, with this injury, this knee injury that Bart picked up 7 years ago, but still hasn't seemed to show for like the last 5 or 6.
yeah, it's a bit odd, that one.
Very odd. But in terms of what Will Norris can bring, obviously, Mark, you just said a word there, but Tom, do you think he can challenge Thomas Holy for the number 1 spot?
Yeah, I think I don't know a lot about him, but from what I've heard and read, he does seem like he could definitely push on and perhaps challenge Holy for the top spot.
Definitely.
Whether he will or not, time will tell. But it's definitely good to see 2 fresh goalkeepers that aren't Gherkin and Bart.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
exciting new start.
Yeah. Who would have thought at the start of summer that we would have been celebrating 3 goalkeepers coming in rather than
3 strikers or 3 defenders, which we seem to need as well. But yes, I think there's going to be sacrifice when we go down. As much as I think Bart needed to go, we all know he's a high earner at the club.
yeah.
At the time he deserved it, but as we've been saying, probably held on from when he was at his highest value, and now he's still the highest paid earner when he's half his value really.
And I think he earned it, to be fair.
Yeah,
I think you're right in that sense. But obviously the whole point of Bart going to Millwall in my mind at the time was to bring someone in on loan. Now obviously Tom Elliott has been touted as that player that's going to come in, a striker. I don't know if you remember playing Millwall last seaon, but he absolutely bossed us both games.
He's a big lad, isn't he?
Massive. He's basically the kind of guy that we've been missing up front for the last 3 or 4 years. But my question is, why is it taking us, 3 days before the season to even be looking into the striker market again? I know we've had Norwood sort of signed up since before the end of the season. So why is it taking us this long to realise? We need another one after the sale of obviously Harrison to Portsmouth. What do you think of that, Tom?
Well, I think personally it's the Bart deal that's held it up.
Yeah.
I think they wanted some wages freed up, and now that that's happening, we could eventually get a striker. But until then, he had to go with what he's got. Is what it seems like anyway.
Yeah.
But
it's important that you say that. Actually, you don't realise that because we're probably so cash strapped at this moment in time that we're actually relying on wages from certain players to bring other ones in.
Yeah, I think something I alluded to on Twitter was the whole Judge situation.
Yeah.
I think we all thought the Bart deal was dead in the water, and suddenly you got Lambert. Seemingly, he likes playing the media game. Seemingly pushing Judge towards a move to QPR via the media, kind of throwing Judge under the bus a little bit. I think with that cash strapped, we can't be looking. Lambert's obviously got targets, but whether they're actually realistic targets for us, that's why the Elliott deal is. It's going to be a loan. He's not going to be a high earner at Millwall. He's not I wouldn't say he's a championship caliber player. I think Millwall fans have probably said that as well.
Yeah.
He's a League One player. We're looking at League One, League Two players because simply that's all we can afford at the moment.
I would argue we don't really need a prolific striker. I think we've got Norwood and we've got Jackson. They've both been scoring plenty of goals in pre-season. I would go as far as saying they're both proven goal scorers at levels. But I think we need that player that can support them, and obviously probably a Daryl Murphy-esque type player. Would you agree, Tom?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, plus we've got Sears coming back in November.
Exactly.
So if those 2 can score and then perhaps have a dip of form when he comes back, hopefully he can cover when we needed to. But yeah, definitely we do need a Daryl Murphy kind of style striker. Perhaps we could bring him back. It would be...
that would be a dream come true for me, but...
I would take him back personally. If we could afford him, I'd definitely bring him back. Especially, I know some people might think it's sort of one step backwards, but for this season...
Well, what his experience could bring to our squad would be second to none.
Yeah, obviously a fan favourite, but I think you look at the squads in League One and League Two. There isn't people are saying, we haven't got, like you were saying, we haven't got this striker, or I know defence is still a little bit lacking, or we haven't got this. The teams that come up to the Championship, you look at them over the last few years, your Rotherhams, Burton, obviously Saturday's opponent. You look at the squads and you think, there's not a lot of depth there, and that's simply the divide between the divisions. I look at our squad and we think we've got a really creative midfield. I think any club in the league is envious of Norwood, and we've got Jackson behind, and as Tom was saying, we've got Sears to come back. I think we've got to be a bit more realistic about our squad. You look at last season, the end of last season, we had so many players, and you can only put 11 out each week, as long as it's just keeping them fit.
But that's the thing. Obviously, I've got a list that we'll go through in a minute that will show us who the ins and outs, because obviously we're coming to the end of the summer now and start the season at the end of the week. But in terms of our dealings, really, we would have wanted one centre-back in, possibly for Saturday. I would have expected that to be done right now, to be fair, before this show. That's why I left this show this long this week. to see if we brought anyone in. But there's been absolutely no signs that anyone's coming in at this moment in time at the back, even though we've got Wilson and Guthrie still on the books, in my opinion anyway. I don't know whether they've gone.
They must still be around, and it does baffle you to think they've both, obviously Wilson's played more than Guthrie in pre-season. They must be options, they must be considered for, even if it is a 1 year deal, tide us over, they've got to be considered, because I'm happy with our defensive options with everyone fit and everyone available. For Saturday, Luke Wolfordon's looking very lonely in the middle of that centre of the defence. It is a bit of a worry. But
why do you think Corey and Darver's not been given a chance?
Perhaps too young.
Yeah,
I don't really know a lot. I do, but I haven't seen much of him to sort of judge really. But
exactly that.
I guess Lambert sees him at Playford Road, doesn't he? So he knows. But whether it's because he's too young, he's got these issues, I don't know. But
I think obviously if we were struggling to obviously bring players in because of wages, or that be the problem, that we probably would have given Ndaba a chance on Saturday against Cambridge, but he didn't get on. Emmanuel didn't play. No. It makes me think that there's still questions around the right back selection. Yeah. But it's a bit confusing. But in terms of, like you said, goals up front, we've got to see us come back, and obviously he signed a new contract today. What do you make of that, Tom?
Oh, it's brilliant. Definitely keep hold of him. Yeah. One of our best players until he got injured last season. Yeah. Brilliant. It's just a further year, isn't it?
Yeah. Till 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good news. Like I say, when he comes back, hopefully he can add to the goals and hopefully push on for.
Because he was just coming into form, weren't he, when he got injured, which was, 5 out of 6 games, I think it was?
Yeah. I can't remember now.
But he was good. And I'm looking forward to seeing Seasy back in the Ipswich shirt. But where do we play him? Do we play him up front? Play him alongside Norwood?
Yeah, I'm not sure really. I've always said, and this is going back a few seasons, the best partner Sears had was Brett Pittman. I've always said that. He needs someone, I think, again, going back last season, Will Keane is that he needs that player who can link up with him. He's going to do the hard graft for the other striker. Sometimes he just needs that finisher beside him.
He needs a hold-up player.
Yeah. So I'd like to see him up front, but I think he's very much favoured on that left side of the field now, which is a bit unfortunate for him.
What do you boys make of that Joe Nuttall rumour from Blackburn Rovers? I don't really see that as an option for Ipswich Town.
I think it's just an alternative, isn't it, really? I think this Elliott deal will go through eventually. It's just, we've got a little bit longer. He obviously isn't in Millwall's plans. They brought in Bodvarsson and Smith, 2 over 6 foot strikers.
They've got Bradshaw as well.
They've got options there. They don't need Elliott. It's just typical Ipswich. We're trying to sign an injured player before he even gets to the training ground, which is a bit of a shame. But I'd love to see him play. I think he's like you said, he was an absolute monster. And again, it's the same with whoever comes in at centre back. If it's Guthrie, Wilson, or someone that Lambert's snuck in, at the last hour, they're not going to play a lot of games. If he comes on, bangs in 3-4 headers, to win us games, that's a good signing. That's all we need.
We're looking for someone to chip in, and like you said, we've got players there. I mean, when fit, I'd assume Judge is going to score goals this season. I'd hope. That's the only thing he needs to add to his game. Nolan, when fit, will get you 10 goals easily at that level. Gwen Edwards should be looking to hit double figures when fit this season. But in terms, let's take it away from that. Externally, we've seen some player sales, and obviously 2-3 weeks ago we were discussing on here the possible movements of Tyrone Mings, Matt Clark, and then obviously the final one was Webster. Mings and Clark have gone for a combined, 39 million between them. And now we're looking at 25 million for Adam Webster. We're talking about 50 million, nearly 60 million pounds worth of players that have gone through our doors in the last 3 or 4 years. Do you think we should have held on to these players a bit longer? I'll go to Tom first quickly. I know we were talking about holding on to players too long, but I think they're not even hit the prime of their career when they're at Ipswich Town.
Oh no, definitely, yeah. I saw a tweet earlier, I can't remember who it was from, but they were saying how Marcus Evans must be bashing his head against the door at the moment, just how much money he's lost there. Yeah. Especially with Webster and Clark. When Mind you, Mings went for 9 million, didn't he? So I know he's.
Yeah, so we sold Mings for 9 to 12 with add-ons. We sold Webster for 3.5 million to 8 million for add-ons, and we sold Clark for virtually nothing.
Yeah.
It was a swap deal plus a little bit of money,
Yeah.
which is disappointing. But obviously this summer we've bought in £3.5 million purely, after Webster's gone through, if it does go through, because obviously that's the knock-on effect that's gonna take Maguire to Manchester United apparently, with Dunk going to Leicester in his place. It's the knock-on domino. But if that money comes through, we're talking at nearly £4 million that's come in from external player sales that won't be used, in my opinion.
No.
But I think it might have been something you said. If we can get to January, we do play well in that time. Get to January, and then Marcus Evans actually slap some money on the table and say, look, who do you want in this league that's going to get us up?
Yeah.
Do you think that could benefit us?
Definitely. I think in a way this is how the club needs to be run. We're not going to be splashing out every window, whether we're in League One, the Championship, or God, I hope we get to the Premier League one day. But you look at clubs, and it's the formula that unless you've got an owner that's going to pump money in, which we know Evans has done, just in the wrong ways at times. Naivety, I think, has been his biggest failing, unfortunately. You look at the teams like Brentford and Preston and teams like that who'll buy lower division talents, then sell them on for a big profit. That's how we've got to operate. That's kind of what we did with Webster, but we've sold him for what we thought, this is a good deal, and then the next summer he goes for 25.
I find sorry to interrupt there, but I find, and I don't know whether you agree with this, Tom, I find that we don't find raw players at all. We find players that have got form, or players who've got some pedigree.
Yeah.
And we take them and we give them a bit of shine, and then we sell them as soon as we can, and sometimes we hold on to them too long. And I think that we don't, like you were saying there, we don't find that raw potential in any player and bring them through. Can you name a single player apart from Tyrone Mings that you can remember that we've actually taken from absolutely nowhere and sold on?
Trying to think.
Exactly, you learn to put you on the spot. Can you think of one?
I think we tried there was a Peter Malachek experiment, wasn't there? He was like, I don't know what even happened.
The Polish centre-back.
Yeah, who I can buy twice, I think.
Yeah.
How much we got him for. But no, it's just some clubs do it better than others. And I think, again, maybe this is what Leo O'Neill's been brought in to do. Haven't seen any sort of fruits of his labours yet. But, it's what our neighbours are doing. Norwich will do the same. Even Colchester have sort of been doing that sort of thing. Frankie Kent's gone for big money. I can't pronounce his name. Like Smodic. Stupid name that is. He's gone for big money. That's fine. That's again more of within their academy. But it's the way football's got to go. Unless you're going to have that big owner that's going to pump money in, you've got to try and find that raw talent and make your buck where you can. Really.
Yeah. Well,
he's bought that goalkeeper from West Brom, hasn't he? What was his name?
Prizebeck.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
would this be the one that we eventually?
Actually, that's a good point. He's bought in Prizebeck. Yeah. Absolutely, at the end of his tether at West Brom, and that's a good point you've said there. It's trying to polish him up and give Wright a push as well. I think in the right direction, and I think that could benefit us in a sense. But let's go through the players that we've got on the books at the moment. Then, so we've got 28 first team players, okay, at this moment in time. So we've got Holy, Norris, Emmanuel, Donassi and Chambers, Enciala, Wolfenden and Darber, Kenlock, Nydam, obviously out injured. Clements, Judge, Scouse, Nolan, Bishop, Downs, Dazelle, El Mazzuni, Hughes, Edwards, Lancaster, Rowe, Garbett, Dobra, Norwood, Jackson, Sears and Roberts. Now, obviously, at this moment in time, there's 11 of those out injured. But we have brought in 5 players this season. So James Norwood, obviously the marquee signing. Thomas Holy from Gillingham, Luke Garbett on loan, Will Norris on loan, and Prizebeck was a free. No money spent apart from fees, I imagine. The players that we've lost, obviously this season just gone, it's Bielkowski, Gherkin, Spence, Bree, Pennington, Collins, Knudsen, Elder, Chalobah, Adeyemi, Ward, Dawkins, Harrison, Wilkeen and Quainer. And obviously most of those are loans returning or expired. And some of those came to the end of their terror at Ipswich Town. So 15 left in total, 5 bought in, turnover of 10 10 have left in essence, and he's got his squad. He wanted a 28-man squad. That's what he said at the start of the season. But definitely the need for a striker or centre back is outweighing my confidence going into the new season. Don't you think?
It is a bit. He must have a plan. You hope he's got a plan. That there must be a reason for it.
Yeah.
Like we said last week, I think fully fit, nailed on. It's going to be Nsiala and Chambers throughout the season. Wolfenden will be pushing, for a chance, and maybe he's holding hope for Ndaba to mature. Maybe have that time, not always being playing games, but being with the first team squad to be used later on. There's a lot of talk about Scouse being a centre back option, but that's in a 3. I think we've seen the one time against Sheffield United when it kind of worked.
I think he played really well at Sheffield United. I don't know if you went to that one, Tom. We went to Cambridge on Saturday, and I don't know if you went to that one either. But Scouse filled in at right back and probably put in the worst shift I've ever seen of any player in any position.
The new Tony Hibbert.
Yeah,
that's what it's becoming. That's a bit weird.
It was terrible, and I mean, if Emmanuel's worse than that, does he really have a future at Ipswich Town?
No, no, not at all.
No. In terms of what was I going to say next? I can't remember now. Hold on, let me refer to my notes. Sorry, guys. On air. In terms of a striker and a centre back, then really, does it worry you that going into the season 3 days before, that really most of the news is taken up by who we haven't got in rather than who we have got in ready for the season?
Does a bit, yeah. I still think we do need a centre back.
Yeah.
It's not worrying as such because we still have got cover there, and we've got Ndaba.
Yeah.
I know we don't want him to, but Scouse can fill in there if need be, and also Donashin with Emmanuel on the right if need be as well.
Yeah.
I know he's a bit shaky there. We haven't really seen him much at centre back, but he could fill in a role there and possibly do a job perhaps. We
have got suitable cover, and I don't think we look at it and think, that player can shift over, because we don't normally see our players playing different positions.
No, apart from Chambers, who used to play at right back, unfortunately. I perhaps we are worrying a bit too much. Perhaps Lambert has got us covered, especially if he's got these trialists who he's looking at and perhaps interested to bring in. Who knows? But
what about the involvement of Bailey Clements on Saturday at Cambridge? Is Miles Kenlock injured?
I don't know. That was my big question coming out of Saturday. There's no news about him or Jordan Roberts. It's sort of nothing was said.
No.
The suspicions that he was ill, but for Bailey Clements to get a full 90 minutes, he's not been someone we've really seen close to the first team. It does make you wonder if Miles isn't going to play on Saturday. But there's been talk about him playing centre back as well. I don't know if he lined up there in the Notts County game, was it? Colchester.
Played really well.
Yeah. So, that's another option that we may not have seen. Defence is the worry. I think everyone's more worried about the defence. We're all pinning our hat on Norwood, and quite rightly so, I think. But defence is the worry. Positive news, potentially, could come to fruition towards the end of the season is Dylan Crowe, if he comes through.
Yeah.
But as I said on Saturday, I think Emmanuel's time's gone. I think he signed a new contract recently, but I don't think under this current regime he's fancied, and probably rightly so. The times we have seen him, last season's a little bit hard to judge a defensive performance when we're losing or drawing most of the games.
Yeah.
But even at other times, if there is someone who's got a mistake in them, it is seemingly Emmanuel, unfortunately. So
for me, I'm a big fan of him, always have been, but maybe that clouds my judgment sometimes. And the same with Kenlock. I think both of them, when they come through your academy, you like to give them time, don't you, and give them sense. But obviously this year's going to be a big year for the academy. Do you think that Town can get promoted back to the Championship based on using their academy players?
Not entirely, no. I think there'll be a big factor in it. But no, we do need some experience there. I know we've got it in Scouse and Chambers to some extent.
Yeah.
But no, I do think we do need more sort of experienced players to help push on.
Yeah.
Just to back up when we sort of hit a low point.
Yeah.
If we do hit a low point.
And obviously, start of the season on Saturday, I'm lacking a bit of confidence, thinking, these players aren't going to be involved. But I've not heard anything about Edwards or Nolan or whether Kenlock's fit, like you say, or Do you think that's the manager keeping his cards close to his chest, or maybe just keeping us in the dark? In my opinion, I heard Edwards had a lot of interest at the start of the summer. Are we at risk at losing those players, do you think?
No, I don't think so. Edwards had a good start to the season, but he kind of went downhill a little bit, which obviously was because he's perhaps first year in the Championship. It's understandable.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think he's hiding him as such. I think Edwards will be here for the season. And Nolan definitely. I was going to say now. No, I don't think that at all. Really, no. I think it's just him just keeping the cards close to his chest. He might bring in 1 or 2 surprises. Yeah. You never know.
Who knows? They could have been training at full intensity the whole of the summer with no game time.
Yeah, you never know. You never know Paul Lambert.
Let's get on to some more pressing matters anyway. We'll get on to Burton Albion in a second, but did you hear that they're not selling tickets at the home turnstiles anymore today?
Yeah, I heard that was big news coming out today.
Bit worrying that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think jobs have been lost?
Potentially. It's probably, it's a safety thing, isn't it? I don't think Ipswich fans have got a particularly bad reputation, but it only takes the wrong person to have a bit too much to drink and maybe threaten staff. But no, it is potentially, that could be a reason. I think, I'm surprised we haven't gone to automated turnstiles yet. Yeah. I know that's a big investment, but it's cheaper than people.
Yeah.
So
that keeps people in jobs.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's right there, Tom. What you say, it does keep people in jobs, and we are a family club, don't you think?
Community family club, aren't we? So
yeah.
And would you take that image over? Let's say you take that image over us being a bit cheaper over time.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good that we have a family. I think they should build on it as well.
Yeah,
be a bigger family community club.
Yeah,
and keep it that way. I think that's good for the community, good for us as well. We want to go more, perhaps spend a bit more money on the place.
Yeah.
Even though they're not going to paint it, but
yeah. Well, a nice spin on that actually, because obviously the Community Trust has come out again this year, it's making its return, and they are doing things in the community. So you can't really say to them like you're not doing enough. And I think they're doing the things with the schools again, getting involved with the youngsters, giving them shirts and stuff they've got to bring through that next generation to make obviously, to fill those seats in the future, because they don't just fill themselves. These things need work. I know I was given opportunities to buy tickets for £2-3 when I was at school. Do you know what I mean? And that helped a lot, definitely, because I can get down to football with my parents. So, but anyway, let's get on to Burton Albion on Saturday. Finally, the season is here. Thank God. It's been like the longest summer of my life, honestly. But Burton Albion are probably one of maybe the stickier opponents, probably one of the opponents we didn't really want at the start of the season. But let's just summarise Burton Albion before Saturday. So this summer they've had good wins against Chesterfield and Sheffield United in pre-season. Only 4 previous meetings between Ipswich Town and Burton Albion, and obviously Town won 3 of those and drew 1 of those, and that's obviously in the last 4 or 5 years, I think, off the top of my head. Lucas Aikens, all-time top goal scorer. John Brayford, Liam Boyce, Stephen Quinn, and Stephen Bywater are notable players. Obviously, Bywater was with Ipswich not too long ago. They've got their first season out of the way after relegation from the Championship, but they do have the quality in their squad to challenge for a top-of-the-table position. I wouldn't say automatic, but they'd definitely be looking at playoffs this season. Club captain Jake Buxton says he thinks they're ready for a challenge, but the club seriously lack depth with only 19 senior players. Question is, can we do enough to beat them on Saturday? I'll start with you, Tom.
I think I'd take a draw against Burton, to be honest. I think they've got a good manager in Nigel Clough. I'd have him at Ipswich before we brought in Paul Lambert. I remember Brenner saying that as well. I'd definitely have him at Ipswich. He's a fantastic manager. So to have them first game of the season, I wouldn't be disappointed with loss, I think, but I'd definitely take the draw, especially away from home. I think they'll be pushing top 6 this season. We'll be within there or thereabouts. So I think I wouldn't be disappointed if we got a draw. Definitely not.
Okay, that's an interesting swing. Mark, what would you say?
I was in the same boat as Tom there. Before I was thinking the draw, but I was speaking to you today. 19 senior players at that club, and I know they've lost Harness to Portsmouth. They've lost Jamie Allen to Coventry as well. 2 big players from last season.
Yeah.
I think there's been talk about Boyce going as well.
Yeah,
You know,
well, if Boyce goes, that leaves them with 1 striker.
Yeah, so I think even with the way the squad is, it'd be a fantastic start for us to go up there, a big statement win, and I think that's what we've got to be gunning for. We're not in that situation where we go, oh, take a draw up there. We need to be making a statement.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to be playing our best football right from the off. You know, this first month and a half, 2 months, will be sort of finding out where we are, finding that right mix. You know, if you're playing your best football in August, you can get found out by December. You know, as long as we can go up there, grind. You know, even if it is an ugly win, you know, just a 1-0 or anything like that, I'd happily take it. So, yeah, you know, like Tom was saying, I think a draw on paper looks like a good result, but when you look into it a bit more, it's probably a game we need to be going to make a statement, really, and go for a win.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. In my mind, a draw would be an okay result, probably a disappointing result for me. Having travelled all that way with Tom driving on Saturday, thank God. But we get there, first game of the season, be really disappointed if we didn't win that game. And I only say this because, statement-wise, we need to come out and beat Burton Albion on Saturday, purely because there's going to be tougher teams in this division. Yeah. There's going to be tougher teams. And, you know, without going into it, obviously the next week on is probably going to be our toughest opponent at any stage in this season. So we really do need to kick off on Saturday, and it's really important that the players that we have got available really put in a shift. And I've got no worries, apart from that back four, to say that I think we would lose that game. No. But that's my mentality, because I've seen Championship football for 17 years. I've watched it since we came down from the Premier League, and I've watched up to this point. Have I got a big club mentality? No. I know it sounds stupid, but I am consistently comparing our squad against other squads in the division, and specifically Burton today. I was putting up against each other, and it really does shock me, the difference in class. Yeah. We're talking international players in our squad compared to non-league, League Two at best. I mean, their marquee signing this summer is John Joe O'Toole from Bristol Rovers, and they got him on a free. I mean, he's come to the end of his career potentially at Bristol Rovers. He's made that step up. He's made that step to Burton. Was he at Bristol Rovers? I may have got that wrong. He was at Bristol Rovers at some point, but he's gone to Burton, and I really think, you know, at this point in his career, did he want another challenge? Did he want to step down, have a bit of a? It really does puzzle me. But like you say, if they do lose, you know, Boyce, they've got one striker they can play, and that's Lucas Seggons. He's at the end of his career, arguably as well. Yeah. But like you said, Tom, you're saying Burton are a decent opponent, and I wouldn't lie. I would say yes, they are. But if we're going to challenge this season and come straight back up, they're the teams we have to beat. Do you agree with that?
Definitely, yes. But at the same time, Sunderland last year, I can't remember how many but they drew a lot. Yeah. That's the reason why they were in the playoffs in the end. Yeah. I think that's are we going to have this big club mentality where we're going to go to these games and we're going to win, and then all of a sudden these clubs park the bus, let's say, and we get those draws just like Sunderland did last year, and end up in the top 6 and not top 2 like it's been predicted.
Completely agree. I think that our biggest benefit this season is that we got relegated off the back of poor results, I'd say, and poor performances, but individually the players that are on that pitch, and as a collective, probably now more than ever, we could be the strongest team in that league without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. You know, those games, I think we went on that run of where it was 1-1 nearly every bloody week at home, or at home and away. Yeah. And we'd just do a stupid defensive mistake to go 1-0 down. And then the rest of the game, you think, Christ, we've got, you know, these lads are playing. They don't look like they're down the bottom of the table, and you could see, you know,
looked like a playoff side playing at the bottom of the division, and I'll stick by that. I don't care what anyone says. I'll stick by that. We were playing football that would challenge any top 10 side in that division at the time.
John Nolan looked transformed in the back end of that season. You know, there's a lot of doubts at the start. You know, he started off well, went for a rough patch, but he came to be probably the best player in the second half of the season, to be honest.
I'd say he's our biggest loss injury-wise at the moment.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. He's a really good player. He proved towards the end he could get goals. He's got a good finish on him. But yeah, I think the biggest thing about going to Burton and winning is the amount of, and I think it's credit to Blue Action and the club as well. I think they've got the fans back behind the team. If we don't go up and start well, back the fans up with good performances, then that's when you're going to start to struggle. I think at the minute, we've sold out, and we sold out our allocation for Burton. We've done that last week. I was lucky enough to get a ticket today, but we want to be, as horrible it is to be trying to scramble around to get tickets. We want to be in that situation every week for away games. We want to be selling out, backing the team, because we're confident we're going to go to these places and win.
And that is why you get a gold card, ladies and gentlemen. But at the end of the day, I see what you're saying there, Mark. To be fair, like you said, if results start to drop off, God forbid the amount of fans that will drop off. Yeah. And, we've sold, I'm hearing now, I think it's 13,000 season tickets we've sold after, obviously, the early bird deadline since then. So it's continued to grow. But Tom, how important is it that those consistent performances lead to fans coming back to Portman Road as well?
Very important, I think. If we get off to a good start, top 6 of the first 2, 3, 4 months, I think the crowds will continue to grow. Yeah. Away tickets will be hard to buy, and I think it'll just help towards our push at the end of the season, hopefully. Yeah. And then hopefully those fans will stay, keep coming, and then we'll hopefully be top 2 with the support. And just sort of if the team, it'll egg the team on. Yeah. Fingers crossed, but we'll see.
Well, I've predicted champions. I wouldn't say confident, but I'm confident in the ability of our individuals and our players. And I think I've seen enough to know that they're fully capable of winning that division. Nothing against League One. But the difference in quality is stark. It's absolutely incredible. I just can't believe how teams like Rotherham and Doncaster Rovers seem to yo-yo between the leagues. I can see it now when I look at the squads, but it's individuals that make that division work. And it really is scary. But I'm going for champions. What are you saying, Tom?
I'll say third.
Third? That's confident. What are you saying, Mark?
I'll go in the middle then. I'll go second.
Yeah?
Yeah.
First, second and third.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we will get there. I think it's going to be a tough start with the way the squad is at the minute. We need to stick by the boys. That's the main thing. It's not going to. We haven't got our full squad. We're not going to be playing our best football right from the off, and quite rightly so. You don't want to be in that situation because teams dwindle. I think Leeds probably were the biggest victim of it last season in the Championship.
I'd probably even say West Brom as well.
Yeah, they started off so well, got found out by December and dropped off. We want to be, if we can weather the storm with these injuries, slowly reintroduce your Nolans, your Edwards, Sears eventually. They're going to be like new signings in themselves, really.
I'd probably say from your point of view there, that's a very important point, what you just said there. If we can match that level and win games whilst we're waiting for those players to come back, God forbid our squad when they do come back. Yeah. Well, if we can win against the teams with that, downside of quality because those players are injured, then Jesus, God, we're going up as champions, guys. In terms of obviously Saturday, anyway, let's get on to the game. It's obviously the first game of the season. I'll be doing a match day vlog. So if you are going, just come and have a chat because obviously it's the first game of the season. I want to get everyone's points of view. And obviously not just of us guys here sitting behind this camera, but you on match day as well. Even if you're having a pint or eating a packet of crisps, I just want to know what flavour they are. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really worried whether you think we're going to win the league or get relegated or finish mid-table, who's going to score the most. Just come and have a chat and let's just talk about Ipswich Town because at this moment in time, it's best that the fans stick together and like Mike highlighted there, Blue Action, massive influence on this club. But this season's going to be a big one, and hopefully on Saturday we'll kick off. So make sure you'll come and see me, and we'll have a chat then. But until then, come on, you Blues.